Coming up next on Making Moves, JTA paves the way for 200 new jobs downtown. Hundreds of the nation's top transportation officials descend on Jacksonville. Rail executives debate the value of passenger rail on freight lines. Reverend Jesse Jackson weighs in on the progress of minorities in the transportation industry and how a new phone app can save your life during a hurricane. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Those stories and much more next on Making Moves. Welcome everyone to Making Moves. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Hundreds of the nation's top transportation professionals converged on the First Coast in July for the 42nd annual meeting of the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, or COMTO. We'll have full coverage of the entire conference coming up in just a moment. But first, let's check out some headlines. The JTA is well known for its transit services like buses and the Skyway, but it's the agency's parking facility that is helping to bring 200 jobs to downtown Jacksonville. At a recent news conference, Mayor Alvin Brown and JTA CEO Nat Ford joined Coast to Coast Solutions President Tom Manley in announcing that the company would lease about 30,000 square feet of office space in the Everbank building downtown. The Medicare appeals contractor will move 200 of its workers from other offices in Riverside and Bay Meadows to the Everbank building. A major component of the deal was an employee parking arrangement between the company and JTA. It's an agreement that Nat Ford says is just the beginning for driving employers back downtown.
And we welcome them to the JTA, we welcome them downtown, and then over the next 4 years, we expect this partnership to grow into more opportunities, not just for C2C, but for other businesses that would like to come downtown and make Jacksonville, downtown Jacksonville, their corporate home.
We're doing all the right things to make sure that downtown is seen as a gateway for business and economic development, and I know with this new endeavor, this is another example of a good investment.
C2C Solutions is looking forward to consolidating its operations by relocating its headquarters to the core of downtown Jacksonville.
Coast to Coast employees will park in one of JTA's surface lots near the convention center and ride the Skyway to work. The Everbank building sits directly across the street from JTA's Central Skyway station. Well, as we stated at the top of the show, hundreds of the country's top transportation officials were in Jacksonville recently. Among them, some of the top rail executives here to discuss the future of freight and passenger rail in America. I'm joined by Making Moves senior correspondent Terry Casey. And Terry, you say the timing of this event couldn't have been any better for Jacksonville. So why do you say that?
Well, Jacksonville found itself in a rather unique position to take advantage of what other people have learned about building a rail network. And those others just happened to be here to put a laser-like focus on freight and passenger rail. Now, JTA wants to expand its Skyway into Riverside and solidify a commuter rail plan for the entire Northeast Florida region. And then there's the long-term prospect of getting high-speed rail here from Atlanta. This gathering was tantamount to a national convention that drew nearly every major player in the freight and passenger rail industry. And in that sense, the timing really was perfect.
Trains were not only on the agenda, trains were the agenda, and a linchpin in an ambitious plan the city has mapped out.
Jacksonville has its eye on becoming the logistics capital of the United States. One question is, just what will it take to make that happen?
It takes the parties working together.
Michael Ward heads CSX.
We got a great port here. We have great highway infrastructure. We have a great rail infrastructure. We have a number of transportation-related companies here in the city. So we have all it takes to really make us a great transportation and logistics center.
Freight giants like CSX really don't benefit from passenger rail. So how can they coexist on the same line?
Well, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. But where there are circumstances where we could have the extra capacity built by the people interested in passenger service, we sometimes can find a way to make that work.
Like they did with Sunrail in Orlando, selling off 61 miles of track that Sunrail is upgrading for passenger service. Then there is All Aboard Florida. Here's President Don Robinson.
All Aboard Florida is a privately funded intercity passenger rail system that goes between Orlando and Miami, has a station in Fort Lauderdale and a station in West Palm.
He says it'll hit 125 miles an hour and plans to start passenger service in early 2016, but only as far north as the Orlando airport, at least at first.
What's the chance of that Orlando to Miami line stretching into Northeast Florida?
Well, I think it's possible because we own the right-of-way all the way through to Jacksonville, so we own the rail and the whole system is there.
Thanks to parent company Florida East Coast Industries, All Aboard Florida has the rail corridor and knows what improvements are needed before launch.
So both freight and passenger service can coexist on the same right-of-way.
And make money.
Because again, it's privately funded. We believe there's an economic viability of being able to offer that service.
As for the prospect of high-speed rail from Atlanta to Jacksonville, Florida Congresswoman Corinne Brown, who chairs the U.S. House Transportation Subcommittee, says it is up to local, state, and federal governments to work together to get this project and others like it done. JTA planners continue to work with Georgia state officials to make the high-speed rail project become a reality. Joyce?
Okay, so Terry, still a lot of work ahead. What do you think?
That's the sense that I got. I mean, I think relations between freight and passenger rail executives are good. They're still, and just to put it like you said, there's still a long way to go.
And of course, we'll be watching this story very closely from now until it's finally done, hopefully.
You bet.
Thanks so much, Terry. Well, 60 years ago, much of the South was in turmoil, battling racism and segregation. Montgomery, Alabama was the epicenter as the civil rights movement clashed with public transportation. Civil rights leaders led protests for over a year against local bus companies after a black woman named Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on a bus to a white man. But if Rosa Parks was here with us in 2013, not only could she sit wherever she wanted, she could drive the bus, or better yet, run the bus company as its CEO. The legacy of Rosa Parks is one that remains the cornerstone of change in America's civil rights and transportation history. It was a moment in time that led to monumental advances for African Americans and other minorities. Recently, TV host and award-winning national journalist Roland Martin was in Jacksonville to moderate a panel of top transportation officials who weighed in on the subject, from the Montgomery bus boycott to the corner office. Martin, well known for being outspoken on controversial issues, believes that this was a well-needed dialogue.
Well, it's important to have the conversation with CEOs because they are in the critical leadership position, and you had folks who actually have been CEOs in multiple places. That's also important because that shows you that they simply didn't just get one shot; they got multiple opportunities. So to hear them talk about that one particular moment where it really dawned on them they could be a CEO, that was critically important.
Before coming to Jacksonville, Nat Ford was able to become the first African American CEO of MARTA in Atlanta because of the historical sacrifices made by Rosa Parks and many others. For minority transportation executives, the message is clear. Even though there have been tremendous strides in our society since the Montgomery bus boycott, the struggle is still not over.
Public transportation is a means to an end. We have to get people to jobs. We have to get people to training. We have to allow them to be able to have social services and all of the amenities that makes a good quality of life. If we don't do these things, then what we're doing is we're segmenting our population based on transportation.
Top executives from 4 transportation authorities, including Jacksonville, told their stories of reaching the top. Keith Parker from Atlanta, Diane Mendoza from San Antonio, Ann Dawson-August from Birmingham, and our own Nat Ford are leading multi-million-dollar organizations. But well into the session, there was a surprise visit by world-famous civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson. Although his visit was brief, His words were powerful. Reverend Jackson says transportation has always been the center of the struggle for parity.
Montgomery bus boycott about transportation in 1955. Today we have more blocks running these systems, but they've cut the system off by cutting access to fast rail. And if people live in the inner city, if you can't own a car because you're on welfare, and can't get to the job because you don't have public transportation, you can't get to work. And so it locks people, it denies growth.
In January of this year, with more than 25 years of transit experience, Ann Dawson August made history in Alabama, becoming the first African American and woman to serve as the executive director of the Birmingham-Jefferson County Transit Authority. She feels strongly about the connection between transportation and civil rights.
I feel that the journey that I'm on is a spiritual journey, actually, because I'm standing on the shoulders of so many who fought for the right for us to even be here. If it wasn't for the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 and the bombing of those 4 girls in Birmingham, Alabama in 1963, the eyes of the world would not have been open.
A key part of Compton's mission is preparing some of the nation's best and brightest young people for future careers in the transportation industry. Dozens of interns had a chance to attend the national conference here in Jacksonville. We caught up with some of these very talented youth.
Imitation is said to be the sincerest form of flattery. For the students who participated in this year's Compton Conference, imitation translates to instant learning from their mentors and role models in transportation. Amanda Mascarenas is a second-year Compton intern from Colorado who's majoring in civil engineering.
I feel like transportation is a key part of our society. I learned from growing up that it's so key to my city especially, so that I want to help people. And I think something as simple as helping them get to work faster every day is really important.
The Federal Transit Administration teamed up with Compton to provide this opportunity for nearly 24 interns who are working on job skills, but also on other skills like networking. And they are making a huge impression on the Compton top brass.
And I'll tell you something, I've met some of the brightest, most exciting young people at this conference because they are part of that intern program. And they are the future of this industry. And they are excited about public transportation.
Aubrey Buckner and Alexander Westerbrand are both interns in the Careers in Transportation for Youth program, or CITY. In just a short time, they've learned the difference that public transit can make.
So I'm starting to realize it affects every single person, and it can benefit them, and if they don't have a good transportation system, it can take away from their life, their quality of life.
Transportation to me, it's one of the things I actually like with my passion because I love to travel. I would love to go see other parts of the world and use my engineering to, I guess, better areas that don't have the type of functions and needs that DC has. So I value it a lot.
Meanwhile, 13 other students were taking home awards that will help them achieve their goals of higher education. Compton also partners with businesses and individuals who reward students for excellence in the classroom.
I wanted to do something in contract management. I went to school, I did my law degree, and I did finance, and I want to continue on to go and do contract management.
Tiffany Smith attends California State University Northridge. Meanwhile, 3-time scholarship winner Samson Shivers attends McPherson College in Kansas.
Oh, it's been a great experience. Like, you come down, you travel to different areas, you get to meet new people, new entrepreneurs, new business opportunities.
In downtown, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
Up next on Making Moves, Eugene Lindsay does some late night duty to introduce us to some rarely seen workers who help keep transportation moving here in Jacksonville. Then later, we'll continue our series on hurricane preparation with a look at a new phone app that could just save your life in an emergency. We'll be right back with those stories, so don't go away.
There's no better place to be on game day than Everbank Field watching your hometown Jaguars. And there's no better way to get to the stadium than on the JTA Stadium Shuttle. Single game tickets start at just $7. Buy your tickets online at JTAFLA.com, at the JTA Admin Building downtown, or at any JTA Stadium Shuttle lot. The JTA Stadium Shuttle, your game day ride for 18 consecutive years.
Imagine taking a gondola ride through the canals in Venice, experiencing the breathtaking magnificence of the Eiffel Tower, or riding a legendary double-decker bus through the streets of London. For most of us, these are just dreams that will never come true, but they could. Think about saving hundreds, even thousands of dollars a year by doing one simple thing: parking your car and taking JTA instead. Save money, ride JTA, and make your dreams a reality.
You're watching the award-winning Making Moves, North Florida's premier source for transportation news and information.
And so it's very important that you connect our state and connect people and move people, goods, and services. I mean, our competition has put in, let's say China, $350 billion, and we put in 8. I mean, it's just like the competition is there. And they understand the importance of going 200 miles, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I mean, that's the future. That's the vision.
The typical worker at JTA is like most American workers. They put in a hard day's work. Then comes 5 p.m. Off go the computers, off go the lights, and then tomorrow they'll be back at it all over again. But as the sun starts to fade each day, a special group of JTA workers are gearing up for a long night ahead, making sure your bus, trolley, and shuttle is cleaned, fueled, and ready to take you to your destination. Here's Making Moves' Eugene Lindsay with a story we call JTA After Dark.
At the end of a long day, it's time to head home for some R&R. But while these JTA buses are coming home for the evening, a crew of dedicated workers are here ready to give these buses some much-needed pampering. From the time they roll in, preparation for a new day has already begun. First stop, a fare box change. And from here, it's on to the next stop, where they are refueled and the fluids are checked. Everything from the oil to the transmission fluid. And the interior is given a good old-fashioned scrub down, from top to bottom and from bumper to bumper. But not all the pampering is done completely by hand.
And now we are going through the wash. Once we go through the wash real slow, we go ahead and park it off and go get the next one.
And they do all of this for every vehicle in the fleet. That includes every fixed route bus, every trolley, every community shuttle, and every paratransit vehicle. But it's not all about cosmetics. JTA mechanics are busy working through the night to help keep the fleet moving at its best.
It's very complicated systems. We're dealing with a computer on board the bus. It could be a light that's displayed to the operator, and based on that light, we will apply a computer to do a diagnostic check, and it tells us basically what area of the bus we need to go to troubleshoot. It could be exhaust system, fuel system, engine system, or air conditioning system.
And while these overnight workers may never be known by the commuters who ride JTA each day, they take their jobs very seriously and realize that what they do here is paramount to the agency's overall success.
100% what we do behind closed doors is seen. What the customers see on the buses is because of our work. So it's very, very important what we do.
We take very seriously whatever complaints, whatever problems we have with the bus, and that in turn, as we fix those problems, we provide a safe bus for the rider public.
The buses, they don't go back out the way that they come in. We try to, get as much as, germs and dust and all that stuff, because the buses be out there the whole day. And me personally, when I do catch the bus, I don't want to be on a bus that hasn't been cleaned, So I like for all the customers to be in a clean bus.
For JTA Making Moves, I'm Eugene Lindsay.
By sunrise, more than 140 vehicles will be fueled, washed, detailed, and mechanically checked, all for safety. Well, getting hurricane preparedness information can be as close as your smartphone. The American Red Cross has put everything you need before, during, and after a disaster in an application available for all you iPhone users. That's right. You just download the hurricane or tornado app and you'll find all the information you'll need, from the items in a disaster kit to making a plan for your family. It's one more way the American Red Cross is trying to keep technology up to date when it comes to hurricane preparedness and awareness. Don't worry though if you don't have a smartphone. You can get the same information from your iPad, computer, or the old-fashioned way, hard copies. The app is always at your fingertips, but you still do have to do the work, and Red Cross spokesperson Christian Smith says the app doesn't replace a good weather radio.
The weather radio, that's something we want you to have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We want that plugged in, especially in your home environment in the middle of the night, because that's when those warnings and announcements are being made that, quite frankly, that we just would miss. If a hurricane or something's coming, we all know when a hurricane is coming. It's the tornadoes, it's the severe weather, it's the wildfire type things, but really having that weather radio, that's going to give you those alerts that allow you and your family to know, hey, I need to do something now.
Smith says the app is also good because you can donate to the Red Cross or even sign up to volunteer. But there's one more important thing, another tool to use before and after a disaster. It's called the Safe and Well site. In case of an emergency, before you evacuate, go to the site and register your family. That way you leave a trail telling other family members how to find you after a storm or other disaster. And to get that app, call ** Red Cross. That's ** 733 27677 from your mobile phone, and the American Red Cross will send you a link to download the hurricane tracking app to your iPhone or Android device, or you can just download the app directly from iTunes or the Google Play Store. Well, coming up next, it's awards time at the National Compton Conference. Did Jacksonville go home a winner? We'll find out right after this.
There's no better place to be on game day than Everbank Field watching your hometown Jaguars. And there's no better way to get to the stadium than on the JTA Stadium Shuttle. Single game tickets start at just $7. Buy your tickets online at jtafla.com, at the JTA Admin Building downtown, or at any JTA Stadium Shuttle lot. The JTA Stadium Shuttle, your game day ride for 18 consecutive years.
Finally, we had a weekend away, and we couldn't wait to see what Jacksonville had in store. We jumped into a cab and cruised downtown. They had a huge jazz fest, and everyone was dancing in the streets. We went to this Riverside Arts Market. There were all these farmers with local fruits and vegetables, and just amazing. We had a private wine tasting, and then we were off to this beer fest, where the locals just took us in and made us feel like one of them. The Skyway was a pretty cool way to see the city. We escaped on a water taxi with views that were just spectacular. Then we plunged back into the city for the game of a lifetime. Thing is, we didn't get away from anything. We got away to everything. Have your biggest weekend ever. Visit Jacksonville.
That was awesome.
We live in a global community where information can be delivered instantly. But having access to information and getting accurate information don't necessarily go hand in hand. That's where we come in. We are Making Moves, the First Coast's premier source for transportation news. At Making Moves, we strive to deliver timely, reliable, and pertinent information about the transportation stories that affect our community. From transit to roads, we've got it covered. Making Moves, now on Facebook.
It's very important that Compton is here. It gives us a vote of confidence that they believe in Jacksonville. So hosting their national conference in Jacksonville speaks volumes for the city and speaks volumes about the leadership we have. First, the foundation that Michael Blaylock laid, and now Nat Ford taking the baton, taking us to the next level on 21st century transportation. That would be regional in its approach. That would really focus on not only just transportation, but housing and economic development, getting people to and from work, making downtown and other parts of the city a destination.
You might affectionately call it the Great Debate, and it certainly was that. It was also one of the unexpected highlights of the National Compton Conference. We're talking about the Youth Symposium that featured a spirited, informative, and highly entertaining debate on the pros and cons of public transit. More than 100 high school and college students were on hand to watch and vote on the arguments made by two very talented high school debate teams, one from Boston, the other from Detroit. A panel of top transportation officials from around the nation, including JTA Vice President Mike Sloan, judged the verbal contest.
That the side that was arguing for the investment talked about the importance of transit-oriented development and that the initial capital investment is in fact just the beginning, that the return goes on for years and years. So I think that's an important point.
The debate gave the students, many considering careers in the transportation industry, a better understanding about the key issues facing public transit today. Time now for the last word. Winners. We head back to the Hyatt Hotel for the annual Compton Awards banquet, where one of JTA's own picked up one of the top awards of the night. Clinton Forbes was honored with the Industry Innovation Leadership Award. The award goes to an individual or agency that has made a significant contribution toward increasing productivity, safety, or quality of service through creative and forward thinking.
You know, there are a lot of other folks that deserve recognition as well. Those folks who've worked with me to make transit more attractive, to make it more innovative, to attract more people to transit. And so this is what we're in the business of, getting people out of their cars and allowing them to take more trips using transit. And in order to do that, you have to think out of the box a little and be a little innovative. And so this is just a great recognition. It's phenomenal, and I'm proud to be the recipient of it.
And all of us here at Making Moves, of course, would like to send out our congratulations to Clinton. Great job, well deserved. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. Remember, if you missed any part of the show or just want to watch it again, complete episodes of Making Moves are always available on our website and our YouTube channel. You can also find exclusive web-only content on our Facebook page. So we encourage you to check those out. And for the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you again the next time we're Making Moves.